Hi there. Today I'm going to show you how I reload rounds for my Martini Henry. My Martini Henry, it's a Mark IV 1887, and it's a great rifle to shoot, and it shoots these really monster rounds. It's an 85 grain black powder load with a 480 grain paper patched lead bullet. So really great rifle to shoot and to own. It's probably one of my favourite rifles. Okay, so I went to the range yesterday, did some shooting, and now I have some fairly dirty stained brass. And what I'm going to do today is just run you through the process of how I clean up that brass and how I reload it ready for the range again. So first thing I will do is just deprime the brass, and I do that by hand using a punch and a shell holder. So just locate the primer pocket. Oops. And just tap out the primer. Easy done. I'm only going to do this with 3 rounds today, just for speed really. Don't want this video to end up being too long. Okay, so once I've got the brass deprimed, I put it into my sonic cleaner and get them all nice and clean, get off the wax and the residue from the black powder, which is quite corrosive. So that's the first job, so we'll get on and do that now. Okay, so I've got my dirty brass in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to put a bit of this cleaning liquid in, lots of different types of stuff I'm sure. You know, you could probably just put ordinary soap. I quite like this stuff. Seems to make a difference. Now I am going to put this on for 20 minutes. Find the lid. Okay, and we'll have a look at it when it comes out. Okay, so the cases have been in there now for 20 minutes. And that looks pretty dirty, so we'll get them out and give them a rinse off, dry them off, and then we'll go to the next stage, which is putting them in the vibratory tumbler. Okay, so I've got my nice clean brass out of the vibratory tumbler. It's been in there for a couple of hours and done a nice job at cleaning it up. So first thing we're going to do now is to resize the brass and flare the case mouth. And to do that I'm going to use the Ruger 480 dies, which do the job great for resizing the neck. It can't do the whole case, but for resizing the neck it's good. So take the shell plate, put it in my Lee die, and a little bit of Imperial sizing wax just on the neck of each case. Doesn't need much. Now we're going to use the Ruger sizing die, as I said, but I've taken out the decapping pin because it's not needed. So there we go. And I've also made this spacer, which simply fits over the main body of the case and just protects the neck so that we don't come down too far with the sizing die and damage the shoulder. Okay, so put the case on the shell holder, slip over this protective sleeve, and there we go. That's one. 2, 3. Now we're going to flare the case mouth, again using the Ruger die. Because there's a flaring insert, here at rattling, inside there, if you use the Ruger die as it comes out of the box, it doesn't actually flare the case mouth because that insert rides up. So what I've done to combat that is I've just put a bolt in there, and that bolt sticks down and presses that insert down, so it actually makes contact with the neck of the case. There we go. Okay, so there we have our 3 cases, cleaned, sized and flared. Next job is to prime the brass, and I use CCI large rifle primers, but to be honest, you know, as long as they're a large rifle primer, whatever make you use, I'm sure is fine. And again, I'm going to use the Lee primer that's actually attached to the press. So put the primer in. There we go, nicely seated. Okay, and there we have our 3 primed cases. I'll just get set up now for loading the powder and seating the bullet, and we'll get these finished. Okay, so now we've got our prepped brass, which has been primed, and that's ready to go. So before we start anything, I'll just go through the materials that I'll use as I'm reloading. So initially we've got some black powder, which I shall just put into here, ready to be weighed out. I do weigh out my black powder charges rather than doing it by volume. It's just the way I like to work, and I use one of these Lee dippers to do that. Okay, I've got my RCBS 505 scales, which are fantastic little bit of kit. I've also got some wax cards. These are 12mm discs, which I punch out using just some of this wax paper from like a milk carton, or you know, some kind of drinks carton, and a 12mm punch. Simply done. And I've also got some lube. This is beeswax and vegetable oil that I've made up, and I use that for the grease cookie. That is about 1/4 inch, 5-6mm thick, something like that. So, okay, what else? I think that's it. So, let's weigh out the black powder charge. Oops. Okay. Okay. That's 1. Okay, that's 2. And 3. Probably be quicker if I did this by volume, but I just find it easy enough to do it weighed out, more accurate. Oops, a little bit too much. Let's just take a bit off. Okay, and 3. Okay, so now we've got our 3 pieces of brass which have been primed and filled with powder. Now what I'm going to do is just use a piece of dowel with a 357 cartridge on the end, just to give a little, just to push that down. Just want to make sure that's compacted in there. Okay, something I didn't mention earlier is some cotton wool. There's lots of different things you can use as a filler. You need something to take up the air gap that is going to be present between the powder and the bottom of the grease cookie. Today I'm going to use some cotton wool. I've used several different things. Something I quite liked in the past was this round foam, comes in a long strip and you just cut pieces off. That's nice because it expands nicely, but I've run out of that at the moment, so I've just got a couple of pieces. So I'm going to use some cotton wool. So just fold up a piece of cotton wool, put it in and just push it down. Okay, and another piece for this one. And you just have to judge how much cotton wool you need to fill the gap, but not fill the space too much that you can't get the rest of the components in. So, okay, now we've got powder, cotton wool. What we need to do is put in one of our discs, which just fit nicely into there. Just push that down a little bit, not all the way, and same in that one, and same in that one. Now what we're going to do now is put in a grease cookie. So we have our brass and I just push it in, give it a twist, and then we've got our grease cookie in the top. Same again. And the last one. Okay. Now, get a cloth, just wipe off the excess wax from around the top of these. And now we take some more of these card discs, and we take 2 now and put these on top of the wax. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of those. Okay, so just to recap: sized, flared, primed, 85 grains of black medium powder. We've got cotton wool, we've got a wax card, we've got a grease cookie, and we've got 2 wax cards on top of that. And so they're ready to go now and be primed. sorry, they're ready to go now and be have the bullet seated on top of it. Okay, these are the paper patch bullets that I've prepared earlier. If you're interested in how to wrap the paper patch, then have a look on my YouTube channel and you will see where I've done that. There's a short video there. So these have all been wrapped in paper, and they were done wet, and now these are dried. These were done a long time ago, so all ready to go. And now we'll put the bullet, seat the bullet. Okay, so we're back to the 480 Ruger dies, and this is the seating die, and we'll just put that in. Right, now this press, just move the camera around a little bit. Okay, this press has been set up with the die at the correct setting for these bullets, so that should be fine. And again, we'll use the spacer just to make sure that we don't go too far and seat the bullet too deep. Now when I've wrapped these bullets in paper, they've got sort of sharp corners. I don't know whether you can see sticking out, so before I try and seat them, I just roll that, just smooths that off, takes off the corners. Okay, so just start that off. And there we go. One martini round. I haven't seen this spacer mentioned before when using the 480 Ruger dies, but it does take out a lot of the guesswork, because if that wasn't there, you know, what's going to stop this as it goes up, except it's going to be the shoulder and you could do damage. So it just takes out that possibility. It's quite an easy fit. It's not tight, you don't have to push hard. They seat quite nicely. And we'll do the last one of the three. Okay, and there we have our 3 rounds for the Martini Henry. So excellent, and we compare those to some of the rounds that I've done previously. These really are lovely rounds to shoot, and there you have it in a nutshell. I hope that helps. Like I say previously, different people will probably do different steps differently. This is how I do it. As far as the fillers, you can use a variety of different things, but you know, try it out and see what you get on with and see what you like. Okay, thanks for watching.